Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout. Ni hao, I am your host, FaZe Crypto. Today, we are going to be discussing a lot of interesting events that have been happening in the cryptocurrency world. Really never a dull moment. I'd really like to talk about the Tesla, plummet in price. And of course, I'd want to talk about Bitcoin now being valued at $9,614. I have a lot of articles to talk about today. Of course, we're going to have to discuss the recent thing that we've been seeing with Jack Dorsey backed Lightning Labs raised $10 million to build Visa network for Bitcoin, how this is going to play into adoption, entering the decade of Lightning. We'll be talking about that towards the end of the video because it's sort of a topic of discussion for most crypto commentators on here. So I'm not going to risk sounding like a broken record. I like to talk about more obscure sort of things that are happening below the surface to give you guys more value for the content that you watch on this channel. Then, of course, we have to talk about where we could expect to see cryptocurrency going from where we're standing right now on 2/5/20. Impeachment day, of course, too. And we have to talk about how that's probably paying some sort of sway in the crypto space. I personally, and I know a lot of people like to disagree with me on this, but I think that we're still in sort of a dead cat bounce sort of an elongated sort of period where $9,000 isn't really a permanent sort of fixture of Bitcoin. I would say $7,000 is more along the lines of a realistic Bitcoin price. And I don't expect us to really, if we do break past the $10,000 space, especially with what we saw, with, of course, Bitcoin in, the recent technical analysis video during the live stream, if you guys watched it, we talked about how in just the past 48 hours, we saw the bears sort of really taking a interesting reigns of power, which I think will inevitably have a pretty dramatic impact on what we see happening over the long term. So I want to talk about Cardano briefly. I have a few articles on here that I think are important. I mean, Cardano is up 70% year to date, but still isn't the best performing crypto of 2020. Major developments within the company are an array of new projects and partnerships have put Cardano among the top 10 coins by market cap. However, even with a 70% YTD rise and 62% 30-day growth, the coin's growth plan places in comparison with pumps of both BSV and BCH have seen. ADA sees major price surges in 2020. The likes of which I think are in accordance with what we've been seeing happening, in the crypto space. I mean, it has been an interesting ride, 2020 nonetheless. We do see a lot of very interesting things happening in the space, and I think that it will be interesting to watch as a lot of these different things. So Cardano reports 1,000 stake pools on incentivized testnet during a recent live stream. Charles Hoskinson, IOHK, spoke about process and development at Cardano Foundation and addressed a recent security, report, which had been looking into its updated code to check for flaws. It has within, a good and a bad and the ugly, blah, blah, blah. So this quote right here, when we started the incentivized testnet, our wildest hope was to have 100 reasonable stake pools running, and we thought we'd get 50. We're almost at 1,000 registered, and we think that there's no end in sight. So I mean, it is interesting, and I would use this sort of as a just sort of a fixture of what we could expect to see in terms of just sheer firepower that something like Cardano has. Talk about what we've been seeing lately with the normalization of cryptocurrency. Even Forbes list, secrets of a successful crypto trader question absolutely everything. Interesting article. I'm not going to look at a Forbes article because what do you think this is? But still, it is interesting just to see Forbes, who most notably, famously, really years, 1 year ago would have seen nothing but like crypto, what, Bitcoin, who sort of, nonsensical, just bashing. Now, slowly but surely, we see the mainstream narrative starting to get comfortable talking about cryptocurrency, which is important to see. And of course, with the sort of Jack Dorsey, the Lightning Network can't access it because, of course, I'm not going to turn off my ad block to access the Old Guard media website. At the same time, I think it is very interesting, and I think the potential for Cardano really does get me hot under the collar. I'm excited to see what we could expect to see. When we have Bitcoin was an introduction of digital gold, Ethereum with the smart contracts, and now sort of building upon the standing on the shoulders of the giants that we had seen, establishing cryptocurrency. Very interesting things, and of course, top performers, Kick Token, Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, very interesting stuff. And I want to play this video right here. Speaking of adoption, universities don't want to get left behind and are starting to offer classes on Bitcoin. Very, very interesting. It's just a little over a minute clip, so we're going to watch that just to get an idea of what we could expect. I mean, because we've been talking about this before, how blockchain and a lot of these different things are the fastest are set to be the fastest growing career fields in history. I mean, it's an entirely new paradigm, and people don't know their ass from their elbow about it. So let's get.
How did that even come about? How did you convince or get the opportunity to let a university teach a Bitcoin class?
The best part about this answer is they asked me.
That's insane.
I love it. I love it. I mean, talk about leading indicators of adoption, right? I got in touch with, there's a Professor Lena Martin. She's a great advocate. She raised some money from Pepperdine. She got a grant, $100,000, and she's doing an undergrad class around like blockchain fundamentals. So she got in touch with me to kind of get involved in what she was doing, and then Wave Financial's hiring. We're growing our team, and I reached out to the recruiter at Pepperdine because it's my alumni.
Yeah.
And a few days later, I get an email from administration at the school, and they want to meet with me and they want to talk about what I'm doing, what they want to do. I go to lunch with the associate dean of the business school, and they have a few benefactors at the school that are from traditional Wall Street, also dabbling into crypto capital markets, and they have this concept to bring more attention, whether it's like a blockchain lab or some sort of crypto, research program, PhD program. But they were asking me, like, how can we help develop this? And I was like, I'll teach. Yeah. Let's do it.
Rather interesting stuff there. I think that we are starting to see the normalization of cryptocurrency conversations, and it's sort of slowly but surely. I mean, of course, the boomers are going to be talking about it, because they've been introduced to it, in the crime sort of dark web sort of bullshit. But I think that 5 courses that will make you understand crypto better. I mean, it is interesting just to see how Bitcoin and all these different things. So the efforts to improve communication with the Cardano 88 community has revealed the scope of work and research that has gone into the platform. According to Hodgkinson, the fruits of almost 5 years of labor will see the light of day in the next few months, marking the beginning of the end of the IOHK involvement with the project. Despite the tough competition, there are a few projects as unique as Cardano, and Research Blake Blockchain projects is one of the most ambitious ones on the market. It's just very interesting when you write software like this. It adds years to your roadmap, definitely so, and it is interesting. But of course, remember, this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. Of course, I'm not your dad. Of course, this content's just here, my opinion, strictly for entertainment purposes. It will be interesting to see what happens with Cardano. I'm very bullish on that front. As you could probably tell from my voice, from my excitement, I have had a lot of coffee today as well. But make sure that you guys comment down below, letting us know what country you're watching us from. We had some people from New Zealand, of course Canada often, and of course the United States is a bulk of our audience. But all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next one. Have a good one. Stay relevant.